Your hard work is invisible to the people deciding your promotion. You've arrived early every day for the past 2 years. Your deliverables are clean and your deadlines are never missed. You've put in more effort than almost anyone around you. And last month, someone who leaves at 5 o'clock every day got promoted over you. That's not just frustrating. It's disorienting. Because the model you've been following your whole career is, do good work and good things follow. You followed it, and it isn't working. Here's what this episode is going to do. Explain exactly how promotion decisions get made. Name the 3 specific levers that actually drive them, and give you a 90-day plan to change your position. Not abstract advice. A mechanism explanation and a concrete plan you can start this week. Here's what nobody tells you early enough. Competence is the price of admission to the career game, not the thing that wins it. Promotions are decided in meetings you're not in, by people who may have only a vague impression of what you actually do. What moves the decision in your favor has almost nothing to do with how hard you work. It has everything to do with how visible your work is, how clearly your impact can be stated, and whether someone in that room chooses to say your name. This is the invisible performer trap, and it's almost perfectly designed to catch the most conscientious, capable people in any organization. The qualities that make someone genuinely excellent at their job, things like deep focus, staying in your lane, and letting your work speak for itself, are exactly the qualities that make you invisible to the people who make promotion decisions. Good work that isn't communicated, framed, or made legible to the right people produces no career result. None. It's like writing the best book in the world and never putting it on a shelf. Think about a software engineer we'll call Sarah. She spends 6 months identifying a critical bottleneck in the checkout flow and fixing it. The fix saves the company an estimated $200,000 a year. Her direct manager knows about it. Her team knows about it. Nobody outside her immediate team knows it happened. Meanwhile, her colleague Marcus gives an internal talk about a much smaller win, maybe a $10,000 fix, and mentions it at the monthly all-hands. 6 months later, Marcus gets promoted. Sarah is told she needs to demonstrate more leadership. Sarah's work was better. Her impact was larger. But Marcus's work was legible. It could be pointed to by someone who wasn't there. It could be said out loud at a meeting by someone with no direct knowledge of the work. That's the gap. The trap is completely escapable, but only once you understand exactly where the decision gets made. How promotion decisions actually work. Most people imagine their manager sits down, reviews their performance, and decides, yes, this person is ready. That's not how it works in most organizations above a certain size. What actually happens is called a calibration meeting. Your manager goes into a room with several other managers, sometimes 5 and sometimes 15, and they compare notes on who is ready to advance. Each manager is essentially arguing a case for their people. And the critical part, your manager can only advocate for you as effectively as they can describe your work. If your manager says, Sarah is excellent, she always delivers, that's weak advocacy. Every manager says that about their strong performers. The manager advocating for someone else will say the same thing. When budgets are tight and only one promotion can be approved, the person with the clearest, most specific, most memorable case wins. The manager who says, Marcus identified a bottleneck that saves us $200,000 a year, and I've seen him independently coordinate across 3 teams to implement it, wins the room. The manager who says, my person is excellent, does not. Organizational researcher Tomas Chamorro-Premuzic has studied this extensively. The consistent finding is that in calibration processes, the person whose manager can speak most specifically and credibly about their impact is the one who advances, not the person with the highest performance score, the person with the best case in the room. What this means for you. Your manager is not just your evaluator. They are your advocate. And advocates can only work with the material you give them. If you haven't translated your output into clear impact language your manager can repeat in a meeting, then even the most supportive manager in the world cannot get you promoted. Your first job is not to impress your manager. It's to arm them. And to arm them well, you need to understand what actually moves the needle in those rooms. The 3 levers. Forget the idea that career advancement is one-dimensional, that you just need to be better at your job, and eventually someone will notice. Research and direct observation of real organizational behavior consistently point to 3 distinct levers that determine who advances. Competence, being genuinely good at your job, is the foundation, but the ceiling is set by 3 other factors: visibility, reputation, and sponsorship. Visibility means the right people know what you're working on and what impact it has, not just your direct manager. The people above your manager, people in adjacent teams, people who might end up in a room together someday, deciding who should get the next opportunity. Reputation means people have a clear mental model of how you work, your brand inside the organization. Are you the person who simplifies complex problems? The one who brings teams together when there's friction? The one who always finds a path forward when everyone else is stuck? Reputation is the shorthand people use when they describe you after you've left the room. Sponsorship means someone in a position of real organizational power will say your name when opportunities arise, including promotions, high visibility projects, and stretch assignments, without you being there to ask. A mentor gives you advice. A sponsor advocates for you. They are not the same thing, and only one of them actually moves your career. Consider 2 people with identical skill sets who join the same company at the same time. Person A does great work, manages their relationship with their direct manager well, and keeps their head down. Person B does the same quality of work, but spends deliberate time building a reputation across multiple teams, makes her work visible to her skip-level manager, and develops a real working relationship with one senior leader. 3 years later, Person A is wondering why they're still at the same level. Person B just got offered a role 2 levels above where she started. The difference is not skill. It is the deliberate use of 3 levers that most people never think strategically about. The first lever starts with one question: can the people who matter actually describe your work? Making your work legible. Legible work is work that can be described in a single sentence by someone who wasn't involved in doing it. That's the test. Can someone who wasn't in the room with you for the last 3 months explain what you did and why it mattered in one clear sentence? Most work fails this test. Not because the work wasn't valuable, but because no one ever translated it from what was done into why it mattered. There's a simple discipline that fixes this. Instead of describing your work as an activity, you describe it as an impact. Instead of, "I rebuilt the onboarding flow," you say, "I rebuilt the onboarding flow so that new hire time to productivity dropped from 6 weeks to 3. The second version is promotable. The first one disappears. That sentence is what your manager can say out loud in a calibration meeting. It's what survives when your manager is summarizing 6 months of your work in 30 seconds. An activity description doesn't survive that compression. An impact sentence does. Here's a habit that costs 20 minutes a month and pays back for years. At the end of each month, write a short note to your manager. Not a request, not a complaint, just a 1-paragraph summary of the 3 highest impact things you did that month. Each item in 1 sentence in the "so that" format. Send it before your next one-on-one. You're not bragging. You're giving your advocate material to work with. Most managers are genuinely grateful for this. It makes their job easier. It makes you easier to advocate for when opportunities come up. Legibility is not a soft skill. It is the fundamental unit of career advancement. Without it, nothing else in this framework works. But making your work legible to your manager is only part of the equation, because your manager's manager probably has no idea who you are. Getting visible above your direct manager knows your work well. That's important. But senior promotions typically require endorsement from your skip-level manager or above, the people who actually control the organizational tier you're trying to enter. And those people probably don't know you. The fix is not trying to impress your skip-level manager from a distance. It's creating legitimate, low-pressure opportunities to become a real person in their mind. The first approach is the skip-level one-on-one. Most employees never request a meeting with their manager's manager. Most skip-level managers are genuinely open to it. They often want to understand what's happening at the ground level. A one-sentence email. "I'd love 15 minutes to hear your perspective on the team's direction and how I can be most useful." That message is accepted far more often than people expect. One meeting creates a baseline. 2 or 3 over the course of a year creates a real working relationship. The second is presenting your own work in cross-functional settings. Too often, employees do the work while their manager presents it to the wider organization. The manager absorbs the visibility signal, not because they're doing anything wrong, simply because they're the one standing at the front of the room. If you have an opportunity to present your own project, take it. If there isn't one, create it. A 5-minute update in the right meeting is enough. The third is contributing to initiatives that have organizational reach. Projects, working groups, or committees that involve people from multiple teams and that someone above your manager genuinely cares about. Showing up well on one of these is worth months of invisible excellence inside your own team. Once you're visible to the people who matter, the next question is what exactly they need to be able to say about you. Your promotion narrative. Here's something that surprises people when they first hear it. The manager who wants to promote you but cannot articulate why will not get you promoted. They will try, get challenged on specifics, and fold. The person advocating for you in a calibration meeting needs language. They need a narrative, and they cannot build it themselves. You have to write it for them. Your promotion narrative is a short, specific document that answers 3 questions. What have you achieved? What skills have you demonstrated? And what evidence shows you're already operating at the next level? Here's the practical difference. 2 employees both feel ready for a promotion. The first walks into their manager's office and says, "I think I'm ready for a promotion." The manager nods, says they'll look into it, and the conversation ends without anything transferable to a calibration room. The second employee sends their manager a one-pager before their next one-on-one. It lists 3 decisions they made or led in the past 6 months that are ordinarily made at the senior level. For each one, a brief situation, the action taken, and the specific, measurable result. It ends with one sentence. "I believe these examples show I'm already operating at the senior level, and I'd like to discuss what a formal case would look like." The manager of the second employee can walk into calibration and say, "Here are 3 things this person did that I typically see from senior people." That's a promotable case. The first conversation produced nothing anyone can use. Writing your promotion narrative is not arrogance. It's clarity. You're helping the organization understand what it already has. But before you write it convincingly, you need to know exactly what criteria you're writing toward. The feedback loop nobody uses. Most people receive vague feedback. "You're doing well. Keep doing what you're doing. Work on your executive presence." These phrases feel meaningful but contain no actionable information. And most people accept them, nod, and walk out of the conversation no clearer on what they need to do to advance. There is one question that changes this completely. and almost no one asks it. What would I need to demonstrate in the next 6 months to be considered for the next level? That question is different from, how am I doing? It's forward-looking. It's promotion-specific. Most managers, when asked directly, will give you a real answer. They'll tell you, I need to see you leading a cross-functional project independently. I need to see you influencing outside your team without formal authority. I need to see you managing ambiguity without checking in at every step. Those are specific criteria. They're check boxes. And once you have them, you can track your progress deliberately. Research from the Harvard Business Review found that employees who explicitly seek promotion-relevant criteria and track their performance against those criteria advance significantly faster than those who wait for their manager to bring it up. The act of asking itself signals seriousness. It tells your manager you're not passively waiting. You're actively working towards something specific. The conversation doesn't need to be long. 15 minutes at the end of your next one-on-one. Can I ask you a direct question? What would I need to demonstrate in the next 6 months for promotion to be a real conversation? Write down the answer. Then go do those things. Once you have the criteria, the real question is whether there is someone with actual organizational power who will eventually be willing to advocate for you. The mentor versus sponsor distinction. Almost every career advice article will tell you to find a mentor. Get a wise senior person to take you under their wing, give you guidance, and help you navigate the organization. Mentors are valuable. But here is something you need to understand clearly. A mentor and a sponsor are not the same thing, and conflating them is one of the most common reasons that capable, motivated people stay stuck. A mentor gives you advice, perspective, and support. They help you develop your thinking, understand the politics of the organization, and make better decisions. What they do not do, unless there is a very specific relationship and a very specific reason, is go to bat for you in a room full of senior leaders. A sponsor does exactly that. A sponsor is a senior person who, when your name comes up in a conversation about who should be promoted, who should take on a high visibility project, who should represent the team in front of leadership, will volunteer your name without you being there to ask. That is what actually changes careers. Research by Sylvia Ann Hewlett, who has studied workplace sponsorship extensively, found that professionals with genuine sponsors are significantly more likely to receive promotions than those who only have mentors. The mechanism she identified is consistent. Sponsors advocate for you because you have made them look good. You have delivered reliably on things that mattered to them in a way that reflected well on their judgment. They advocate for you because you've given them a concrete reason to. You cannot shortcut this. You cannot ask someone to be your sponsor. What you can do is identify 1 or 2 senior people whose priorities you genuinely respect, find legitimate ways to contribute to those priorities, and deliver with enough reliability and visibility that when they think of someone to recommend, you come to mind. That advocacy is earned through a specific, buildable pattern of behavior. The reliability signal. Sponsorship doesn't come from impressing someone once. It comes from building what you might call the reliability signal, the accumulated pattern of delivering what you say you will, consistently, on things that actually matter to the people whose advocacy you need. Here's why this works. Senior people have significant reputations at stake. When they advocate for someone, they're effectively using their own credibility. If they push for you and you disappoint, they absorb some of that consequence. So they don't advocate for people they're uncertain about. They advocate for people who have given them specific, repeated reasons to trust their judgment. The reliability signal is not built by doing more things. It's built by doing the right things completely. Find the projects and commitments that are visible to the people whose advocacy you need. Deliver on those things ahead of schedule and with more clarity and follow-through than was expected. Then make the result easy to see. A short summary of outcomes sent at the right moment. Here's a concrete comparison. Two analysts at the same level. One delivers everything assigned on time and is generally regarded as reliable and solid. Good work, invisible. The other volunteers to own a complex, high-stakes project for a VP she respects. She delivers it 2 weeks early. She sends the VP a one-paragraph note with the key results and one forward-looking recommendation. The VP doesn't forget that. 6 months later, when a senior analyst position opens, the VP brings up her name without being asked. The reliability signal isn't about doing more. It's about making your reliability visible to the people who have the actual authority to change your trajectory. Even with all of this in place, certain patterns quietly derail it, and they're more common than most people realize. The common mistakes that stall careers. Even people who understand the visibility framework fall into the same set of traps. Here are the 4 most common ones. The first is optimizing for busyness instead of impact. There's a seductive feeling that comes from being needed, from having a full calendar and a constant stream of requests. But a calendar full of reactive work, answering questions, attending meetings, handling requests, is not an advancement strategy. The person who advances gets fewer things done, but gets the right things done. 2 high-leverage projects, completed with full effort and clearly communicated results, outperform 12 adequate tasks done adequately. The second is waiting to be noticed. This is the most painful and the most common trap. The belief that if you do good enough work for long enough, eventually someone will see it. Some people wait 5 years this way. The work does not notice itself. The burden of communication is on you, not on the organization to find you. The third is staying siloed inside your immediate team. If everyone who knows your work sits in the same 5-person group, your career options are exactly as wide as that group's reach. Building a reputation outside your immediate team is not optional above a certain level. It's a structural requirement for advancement. The fourth is talking about tasks instead of outcomes in conversations with leadership. Here's the contrast. Version 1 of a weekly check-in. I finished the Q3 analysis, started the forecast model, and had 2 client calls. Version 2. The Q3 analysis flagged a margin issue in the enterprise segment I haven't seen before. I want to raise it before the Q4 plan is finalized, and I've started drafting a brief. The second version makes you a thinker. The first makes you a doer. People are not promoted to leadership roles for being reliable doers. They're promoted for demonstrating they already think at the level above them. Before you build your case for promotion, there's one honest question worth asking first. The next level test. Promotions are confirmations, not experiments. Organizations that promote well are confirming that someone is already performing, in significant measure, at the level above them. The implicit question at every calibration meeting is this person already doing this job? If the answer is not quite yet, but they have potential, the outcome from calibration is almost always develop them more, revisit next cycle. The word potential keeps people waiting at the same level for years. So before you make a case, take the next level test, the shadow job description. Find a job posting for the level above you, or simply ask your manager directly, what are the 3 or 4 main responsibilities at the next level? Write them down. For each one, ask yourself honestly, am I doing this? Do I have a documented result I can point to? If 3 or more of those answers are yes with real evidence, you're likely operating at the next level, and you have the foundation for a promotion case. If the answers are sort of or not really yet, you don't have a case. You have a development roadmap. Work the roadmap deliberately. Come back in 3 to 6 months with better answers. The shadow job description removes ambiguity from the most frustrating question in career development. Am I ready? Most people can't answer that confidently because they never defined what ready means in their specific organization. This framework gives you a definition. Now you can measure yourself against it. Once you know you're ready, the question is how to actually start. The 90-day visibility plan. Everything in this episode comes down to a concrete sequence of actions you can start this week. Not theory. A plan. Week 1. Send one email. A skip-level meeting request to your manager's manager. One sentence. I'd love 15 minutes to hear your perspective on the team's direction and how I can be most useful. Most managers will accept. A few won't, but asking creates no downside and a very real potential upside. Also in week 1, start the monthly output summary habit. Set a reminder for the last working day of each month. 20 minutes, 3 high-impact items in the so that format, sent to your manager before your next one-on-one. This becomes one of the most consistently valuable habits you can build for your career. In weeks 1 through 4, identify one cross-functional initiative you can contribute to visibly. A working group, a shared project between your team and another team, a committee that touches multiple parts of the organization. Show up with something useful to offer and be seen doing it. In month 2, have the explicit promotion criteria conversation with your manager. Ask directly, what would I need to demonstrate in the next 6 months for promotion to be a real discussion? Write down the answer. Treat it as a checklist you're actively working through. Also in month 2, identify one senior person, ideally 2 levels above you, whose priorities you genuinely respect. Find one legitimate opportunity to contribute to something they care about. Deliver on it cleanly and completely. In month 3, write your promotion narrative. 1 page. 3 achievements in the so that format, each showing you operating at the next level. Send it to your manager with a brief note. I wanted to share some context on where I think I'm operating. I'd love your perspective. That's 90 days. None of this requires you to become a different person. It requires you to make what you already do more visible, more specific, and more connected to the people who actually make decisions. Here is the full picture. The invisible performer trap catches the most capable, conscientious people in organizations, the ones who believe that good work speaks for itself. It doesn't. Good work that isn't communicated produces no career result. Promotion decisions happen in calibration meetings where your manager advocates for you in a room you're not in. Your job is to arm your advocate with specific, repeatable language, impact sentences, a clear narrative, documented proof that you're already operating at the next level. The 3 levers that drive promotion are visibility, reputation, and sponsorship. Competence is the floor. These 3 set the ceiling. Legibility means your work can be described in 1 sentence by someone who wasn't involved in it. Without that, even excellent work disappears. Skip-level visibility is the most underused tool in career development. Most people never ask for a meeting with their manager's manager. Most managers will say yes. Your promotion narrative is the material your advocate reads out loud in the calibration room. You have to write it. No one else will. The feedback loop most people skip. Ask your manager directly what you'd need to demonstrate in the next 6 months. Get specific criteria. Work through them deliberately. Mentors give advice. Sponsors advocate for you when you're not in the room. You earn a sponsor by delivering reliably on their priorities, not by asking for their guidance. The reliability signal is built by doing fewer things completely, on the right projects, with the right people watching, not by doing more. 4 traps to avoid: optimizing for busyness, waiting to be noticed, staying siloed inside your team, and talking about tasks instead of outcomes. The next level test. Use the shadow job description before making your case. List the main responsibilities 1 level above you. If you can point to real evidence of doing 3 or more of them, you're ready to build your case. If not, you have a roadmap. And the 90-day plan is the bridge from understanding this to actually starting. It begins with one email this week. If this was useful, subscribe. There's a new episode every week on building a more deliberate life.